Hey, doesn't this look nice? What's happening? Well, this is circa 1957. You got a man coming home from his job, and with his job, he makes money that can support an entire family. They have a house, a car. They go on vacation 2 weeks a year. The wife stays home and raises the child. What a concept. Let's take another look. It all looks rather beautiful, huh? Whether this guy works at an accounting firm or a factory, for many, many years, but not for many, many years, it was possible in America to raise a family on one income. Let's take a look at another one. This looks so beautiful and so incredible, and men did the work. They got on the train in the morning, and they went to the office, they went to the factory, they battled it out, and they did it. They did it for their families. Now, some people might think this is chauvinistic or something like that. Others would say this is the natural order of things. And for the past several decades, we have deprived ourselves of the natural order of things. Because today, a family, a standard family, 2.3 kids, a mom and a dad, more rare than ever before, they can't do what was done in the 1950s, 60s, and even in the 70s, where one income could support the entire family. That is becoming incredibly rare. Both parents have to work. And I know that's been going on for what seems like a long time, but it really is kind of a nanosecond. And what put us on this trajectory is something that I did not know about or did not fully appreciate. Richard Nixon is the one responsible more than anybody else for the position we're in right now in terms of the economy, where the dollar continues to lose its value. Like we're down to 3 cents from what it was. Why? Because he took us off the gold standard. I don't fully comprehend why he did that, but there was a time if you turned in $5 to the Treasury Department, they'd have to give you a sliver of gold. He formally took us and then the world off the gold standard in 1971. And this changed everything. I've had a preview of a book about all this stuff. It's called 1971, How Nixon Destroyed Humanity. And fascinating stuff. It's coming out sometime in the spring. I look forward to it. And again, what looks more appetizing? What looks more nice? Take a look. This kind of situation, I think that's the ideal, don't you? She's staying home, taking care of the kids, which is a huge responsibility. So important for the family, so important for society, or going into the office and working for some boss and having to wear your mask. No, not that family. That lady we talked about who was wearing the mask and is at her poor laptop computer. Who wants to really work in the drudgery of it all? And now you have women doing it. And I know this sounds obsolete. I know this sounds like chauvinistic. It's not meant to be. I'm just pointing out that according to a lot of very smart people, the way we're living right now is not the natural order of things, and it was caused by the government. That decision, which so radically devalued money. 1971 was the year, and the book. Stay tuned. All right, now this. How's this for a great quote? You know, there's a lot of freak out, right? But there's also a lot of joy as Elon Musk goes about finding all this waste, fraud, and abuse. There's an old adage in Washington: don't clean the skeletons out of the closet. They'll accuse you of murder, right? It's kind of interesting. This indefensible corruption is somehow being defended. I love this. I think Ronald Reagan might have been the first one to say it. The freak out continues, but the freak out is nothing compared to, well, the joy and the satisfaction that government is finally doing what it's supposed to. There have been efforts before, anemic efforts, and good faith efforts. And let's go back to Ronald Reagan. We like him a lot, right? He stood for a lot of good things. He wasn't perfect, and he worked with the swamp possibly a little bit too much. Do you remember when they were charging like $500,000 for a hammer at the Pentagon? Remember that it happened in the 80s? It became a huge scandal, and Ronald Reagan had to do something about it. And this is what he did. He formed a commission, not just any commission, a blue ribbon commission.
And so today, I've decided at the recommendation of Secretary Weinberger and in consultations with Congress to appoint an independent, bipartisan Blue Ribbon Commission on Defense Management.
Oh, boy. First, he had to talk to the secretary. Then he had to talk to Congress. Then he had to talk to somebody else. And they came up with the Blue Ribbon Commission. It's not exactly Elon Musk just going over with his bros to the Pentagon and kicking ass, is it? And then what happens as a result of this Blue Ribbon Commission?
It's my expectation that the Commission will send us an eventual blueprint for action that will provide for continuing improvement in the Department of Defense's peacetime and combat effectiveness.
Good luck with that. We still have the same problems. His expectation is a report will come and someday something will happen, and it never really does. The government just isn't set up. An ordinary government, ordinary politicians, they just don't have the expertise, the bandwidth, the ability, the knowledge to do this kind of thing. Musk and Trump do, and they've assembled other great people, and it's very, very exciting. They've tried before, they always fail. This time is going to be different. Next, please.
7 times, my fellow Kentuckians have sent me to the Senate. Every day in between, I've been humbled by the trust they placed in me to do their business right here. Representing our common.
I'm going to now call it. I don't like it when people announce that they're leaving a job 2 years early. Most people get 2 weeks, right? If they're lucky. But McConnell is retiring, but that means he's not running for re-election next year. It's February, so he's guaranteed paychecks this year and all of next year. That's a weird type of job security that most Americans don't know, but he gets to announce he's retiring. I know you got to do that so better people can run, like Daniel Cameron. More on him in a little bit. I'm glad he's retiring. He is a swamp creature. He got very, very rich in the swamp. This is how he arrived. This is what he looked like back then, and then he morphed. Can we do that one more time, please? Young Mitch. Let's see young Mitch. Yeah, looks like a nice guy, optimistic, probably wants to do the right thing. And then this is what he became. I don't trust him. Neither should you. He's always been trying to trip up Trump in big ways and small. And I think he was in it for the perks. All today, he was talking about the business and the honor of being somebody important. And that comes through here. Not only does he get to retire, still work, announcing his retirement 2 years beforehand, he lives like a prince. All of these guys, check out his setup at work. This is not Prince Charles. This is a government servant, right? This is a public servant. Check it out.
I spend most of my time here. Like all senators, I have another office in the Russell building. We have 3 Senate offices. But I have, as a result of being leader, I have sort of 2 offices and 2 sets of staff. The staff here deals with all of the senators. My staff in Russell is mainly oriented toward Kentucky.
And then I have a fireplace. Yes, I have a fireplace in my office because every now and then I get chilly and I want to light a fireplace at work. The Capitol building is too good for these people, okay? It's like Buckingham Palace. It's too much. They don't deserve this stuff. They fall in love with the trappings, and they think they're better than everybody else. And in a weird way, kind of because they get a fireplace and we don't. Bad stuff. Goodbye, Mitch. Although I guess he's going to be around for a while. Next, please.
NBC News has learned that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is considering firing a number of military generals and flag officers as early as this week. That's according to 2 defense officials and 3 congressional officials who say that Pentagon leadership has shared a list with Republican members of Congress and senior military officials who could be fired.
Could it be that I was all wrong about this guy? Could it be? And 2 people on the list that Republicans have seen said to be C.Q. Brown, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and that woman, the Admiral, CNO of the Navy. Her name is Franchetti. And not only is the name on some list that people are whispering about, the secretary wrote about her in his book. And it's pretty awesome. Another inexperienced first. Take a look at this. It was from the War on Warriors. If naval operations suffer, and oh, by the way, they are, at least we can hold our heads high because at least we have another first. The first female member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Hooray. For social justice ideologues, PR matters more than reality. Because the thing is, with her resume, her military resume, she doesn't have all the checks in the boxes that you need to be the top admiral in the Navy. That's a problem. And then that CQ Brown guy, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I had almost given up. But it looks like they are prepared to give him the axe, and boy, does he deserve it. A couple of things. The body language is fascinating. Hegseth gets there, and take a look at how CQ Brown is eyeballing him, right? Is that a look of respect? Is that a look of, I don't know, but I would not trust that guy. Not just for that look, but for the other stuff that he's done and said and how he tried to trip up Trump. Anyway, it's pretty much day one at the Pentagon for Secretary Hegseth about 2 weeks ago, and he lays down the law.
Single dumbest phrase in military history is our diversity is our strength.
Our diversity is our strength is silly and has no business being uttered in the Pentagon in military circles. So maybe this was not a match made in heaven, Hegseth and the CQ Brown guy, right? Because this is how he feels about diversity and DEI and such.
It's the role of each of us to be confident in ourselves, to accept our fellow airmen for who they are, because we recognize the strength that comes with diversity. Over the course of the last year, our Air Force has made great strides, reviewing and improving our diversity and inclusion policies and practices. And we will keep working to remove barriers, reduce biases, and to ensure equity for all airmen.
You see how this is going to be troubled? Now, you could say, well, if he says, all right, that's no longer the policy, I'll follow the new policy. I don't think that's going to cut it with this man who is now the chief military advisor to the president. That's President Trump. Quick review, when George Floyd died in 2020, remember that whole thing? This man, CQ Brown, should have kept his mouth shut. Instead, at work, with government resources, he made a highly charged political statement about the whole thing. And I do believe one could say that this was meant to hurt President Trump and help Joe Biden. He did it in the middle of the campaign in 2020.
As the commander of Pacific Air Forces, a senior leader in our Air Force, and an African American, many of you may be wondering what I'm thinking about the current events surrounding the tragic death of George Floyd.
Yeah, he's got that emotion. He's really wrapped tight, and he's going to let it go. How much he's grieving for career criminal, drug addict George Floyd, who was not killed by those Minneapolis cops, by the way. Total fake news. Total information campaign propaganda. Next, please.
Here's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how full I am with emotion, not just for George Floyd, but the many African Americans that have suffered the same fate as George Floyd. I'm thinking about protests in my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, the equality expressed in our Declaration of Independence and the Constitution that I've sworn my adult life to support and defend. And thinking about a history of racial issues and my own experiences that didn't always sing of liberty and equality.
I wish that they had called him up back then and said, if you're so uncomfortable in America, at the very least, you should resign your commission immediately and go find another occupation. That didn't happen. That was a mistake. This is so offensive, the politics of it. He's telling this all to troops, the media are watching. But this is the one that really got me the most, all right? I wore the uniform myself. And what he's saying here, I actually think he's kind of lying. He's telling a tall tale.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.